crazy news. So in the beginning of this series, at 7 weeks out, Rob and I made a goal that we wanted to hit. We wanted to hit 1,000 subscribers by the time we competed November 2nd. November 1st, November 2nd. As you can see on the screen, we were at 998 subscribers. So it's literally any second today that we are going to hit our milestone. This is just the beginning, man. So with that being said, we have a brand new goal. If 1,000 wasn't enough, we're shooting for the stars, we're aiming for the moon. Let's hit and let's grow this team, let's grow this army to 2,000 subscribers by the time we compete in November. 999, literally, we are on the cusp of 1,000. This is such a huge milestone for me, guys. I'm in a very fortunate spot where my low days are not as bad as they used to be. They're not as low carb, I guess you could say, as they used to be when I was in the 7-week prep prior to competing. Obviously, when you step on stage, you're very lean. And I've told y'all before, I could get leaner, but I don't need to push it that hard. So this is still a low carb day compared to what I've been eating on a weekly basis, but it's not as bad as it could be. So the structure for the meal plan, I mentioned this in the previous video, but the structure my coach has for me is very different than the way I typically coach people. But here's the thing, there are multiple ways to get the same results. We've obviously proven that we could bring a great package. So that's where I need to kind of just be a client and trust your coach. Always trust your coach, okay? So I'm gonna kind of explain the structure he has for us, and then I'm going to read off the macros for you guys, okay? So for meal number 1, I basically get 40 grams of protein, 25 grams of carbs, and 10 grams of fat, okay? First thing to note, this is a little bit more than 10 grams of fat because there is 1 egg in here, and those fats are not accounted for. Again, this is his plan. So the macros that I tracked for this meal, just so you can kind of get a gist, is 37.1 protein, 27.4 carbs, and then it's gonna be 13.8 fat. So again, very similar to the structure he has for me. I love the way he does this though, because it gives me just a little bit of flexibility without going off plan, and it helps me just simply choose how I want to attack the structure he has for me on that given meal, which again is super sustainable. This half, I guess, second half of prep has been super easy. So we have sourdough toast, 25 grams carbs, avocado, 10 grams of fat, and then we have the egg, an egg white kind of concoction here for around 40 grams of protein. That is gonna be meal number 1. Absolutely going to slam this meal because I drenched it in hot sauce, and then we will see y'all for meal number 2 of the low carb edition full day of eating. Let's go. Forty grams of protein and 10 grams of fat for this meal is the structure that he has laid out for meal number 2. The macros that equals to is 37 protein, 5 carbs, and then 20.8 grams of fat. A lot of people ask me, James, why don't I have energy throughout my day? Why do I always feel lazy? Why am I never motivated? This and that. And guys, you gotta realize that the food that you put into your body has a direct correlation with how you feel, how you perform, your mental clarity, all of that, right? It all comes with the food that you put in your body. You gotta understand that in today's society, it's so easy to eat bad, right? Processed stuff, sugary stuff. It's very easy. All you gotta do is strive for whole foods. Don't make your life too complicated. I would argue red meat is one of the most nutrient dense foods. That's why I'm very, very passionate about beef, and I also love the way it tastes. So I definitely will never complain when beef is in my meal plan. And avocado obviously has nutrients and a good amount of fat as well, which also helps with your hormones, right? As a natural bodybuilder, my hormones are very crucial for the way I perform and the way I feel, right? I don't have an outside source to maintain my levels. So I have to count on, I have to bank on, I have to put in the extra work to ensure that my body is performing at the best possible rate, I guess you could say. And last time I stepped on stage, man, I mean, that was the best I've ever felt on stage in a physical and a hormonal response. I mean, everything was working well, everything was clicking. And again, that is directly from the foods that I eat and how I eat. As you can see by my attire, I'm about to go golfing all afternoon. So this is a little bit of a tip for you guys. If you are extremely busy throughout the day, you have to plan ahead. In order to stay on track with my meals and stay with proper alignment time-wise, I need to consume 2 meals right now, right? So it's very simple, a very easy fix. We have meal number 3, which is going to be cream of rice with protein powder and almond butter. And then we have ground beef for meal number 4. So the structure that he has for these meals are gonna be 40 grams of protein, 50 grams of carbs, 10 grams of fat for this meal. And then literally I'm only going to do 40 grams of protein for this meal. So calculated everything just so you can kind of get a gist. I'm gonna be combining these 2 meals macro wise. We have around 78 grams of protein, 52 carb, and we have 25 grams of fat. This is going to be a meal that will hold me off for a few hours. Also, something that I like to do with my cream of rice is I almost like to bake it, right? So as you can see, that's like a hard piece right there. So if you can see the bar here, it's surrounded by like the hard brownie-like consistency. And in the middle is actually like a soft consistency. So all I do is dip the hard part into the soft part right there, and it just makes like a good dessert. So this is how I prepare my cream of rice. Tastes exactly like a fudge brownie. If you wanted to get fancy, throw in a little bit of almond butter right there. Just look at that bite. A good brownie-like, cake-like thing with a little bit of icing and almond butter. It does not get much better than that. If y'all can see that right there, taste test. Amazing. By far my absolute favorite meal of the day. I guess you could call it a snack, but essentially on the program, on the plan that he has written for me, I have protein powder and almond butter. So some substitutions I made, right? Because he does give me the freedom to do that. I swapped out rice for one of my meals and I substituted for a banana. We did that last prep and I've been doing that ever since, and things have been working really well. So I make it into a little creamy here, an ice cream, if you will. The protein powder is obviously mixed with water, and then I mix in the almond butter and bananas, and then topped it with bananas as well. For this meal, we are looking at 35.5 grams of protein, 32 grams of carbs, and 13 grams of fat. Like I said, best meal, best treat of the day. I'll give y'all a little taste test. Essentially, this has been a lifesaver on prep because you're eating ice cream almost every single day, so. Absolute treat. This is gonna be meal number 5, I guess you could say. And then we have one final meal to end off this full day of eating. Finishing off the day with our last meal of the day, we have a very sad amount of rice. We have 3.1 ounces of rice, and we have 5 ounces of chicken. That is gonna conclude the last full day of eating. We have 25 grams of rice in carbs, and then we have 40 grams of protein in chicken. And honestly, that's gonna be the macros for this meal. Pretty self-explanatory. But you have seen a high carb day, full day of eating, and you've also seen a low carb day, full of eating. So that is gonna be insight on what I eat and what I've been eating on this prep to get me absolutely gutted, inside out, shredded to the gills. I'm gonna crush this last meal. We also put a little bit of a twist on this white rice. We did some cilantro, lime rice, literally just added a little bit of cilantro and then lime to the rice. Doing everything we can, guys. That's the name of the game. Make your meals as good as they can. You saw me have ice cream. You saw me have ground beef. You saw what I did to my cream of rice. I try to make it into a brownie with like some icing or whatever. So making the boring stuff exciting, that's the name of the game. I also cooked this chicken on my Traeger, so it's smoked. That is really, really good. And yeah, guys, if you enjoyed this full day of eating and getting insight on what Big J is eating 4.5 weeks out, like the video, subscribe. If you made it to the end, comment DICE. Comment DICE in the comments because I know you're a real one. That is gonna be it for me. Subscribe, like it up. We'll see y'all later. I'm about to get absolutely shredded for Summer Shredding Championship, 4.5 weeks out. Let's get it.